Toyota 1000 Desert Race returned to its Botswana routes for the second year in succession from July the 7th through to July the 9th. The route for day one took crews from the start in Gaborone to a refuel at Shoshong at around the halfway mark for racing section 1. From there it was on to the overnight stop at the Kama Rhino Reserve, not far from Serowe. The off-road racing fraternity has a strange affinity for pre-dawn starts to races. Winter or summer, the order of the day, especially where the cars are concerned, is an early beginning to proceedings. This entails final vehicle checks, minor adjustments and running repairs where necessary. It's at this time that the adrenaline starts to pump with everyone keen to get underway.
Not really my favorite position on the front. I like being a little further back, and especially on the first day of the 1,000-kilometer race. I'd like the guys in front to pathfind, and we're just going to let guys go in front after a while and pace ourselves. It's Saturday, tomorrow is most important to be in front then. But today I think it's not really an advantage to be in front. You've got to pathfind, you've got to find the way. So tomorrow's a big day.
Klaus Degener and Thilo van Westenhagen in the BP Raceco were the first to be flagged away by Toyota's Flip Wilkin at the ceremonial start. The AA Motorsport Off-Road Commission has high hopes of seeing the Desert Race included on the International Cross-Country Rally calendar in the future, with the ceremonial start part of these plans. On a chilly winter morning, most of the citizens of Gaborone were still warmly tucked up in bed. The hardy souls on hand at the start were mostly connected with the crew, with convoys of service crews and well-wishers set to crisscross Botswana over the next 2 days in pursuit of the cars and bikes. Two giants of South African motorsport, Paddy Driver and Frans Boshoff, were among the late withdrawals when specialist parts for their AAD Video Sport Range Rover did not arrive in time. But as always, there were interesting newcomers. Springbok Jeremy Davies has for years been a frontrunner in the motorcycle category. After a serious accident last year, Davies now found himself behind the wheel of a Nissan Safari.
It's another ball game, you know. The only thing that's really the same is the route and the navigating. I'll be able to pick up that. But when it comes to driving a car, it's completely different. You mustn't think you can jump from one to the other.
Out on the route, crews were hard at work. It was going to be a long and hard day in tough terrain. Kasi Kutsi and Richard Leek in the Toyota Hilux 4x4 Turbo were chasing after the Silwald cousins, Herman and Karl Heinz, in the Raceco. As is always the case with the Desert Race, tight and slow parts of the route were interspersed with fast sections where it was flat-out motoring. Kasi Kutsi and Richard Leek are both successful ralliers with vast rally and off-road experience behind them. The pair were one of 3 Toyota dealer team entries, along with R.P. Reiniger and Lucas Dreyer in a Land Cruiser, and Richard Schilling and Jeff Bell in a turbocharged 2-wheel drive Toyota Hilux. Behind Kutsi and Leek, the first driving stint in the lubrication equipment Raceco fell to Richard Carolyn, with brother Bix waiting to take over at the refuel. Defending champions John Lambert and Eric Stoltz were motoring along steadily in the Digidor Porsche twin-seater. Also looking comfortable were reigning off-road champions R.P. Reiniger and Lucas Dreyer in the Toyota Land Cruiser. The big Rover V8 motor in Rob Walk's Super Pave Raceco was sounding healthy. With no navigator, Walk was reliant to a large extent on clear route markings, but was making good progress. There were also no early problems for Nick Harper and Richard Hill in the Rockwell Porsche Raceco. 5FM Sun City winners Franz Czepek Sr. and son Franz Jr. were also going along steadily in the V-Motors Raceco. Weird-looking and noisy machines flat out through vast expanses of semi-desert produced an enthusiastic reaction from the locals. Well, not all of them. The father and daughter combination of Niels and Carla Eriksson had moved into an early lead in Class B in the special vehicle category. The aging Chenoweth was still going strong, but not far behind the Ericssons were former saloon car ace John Rowe and Tony Ball, who's more often to be seen piloting a VW Golf in national championship rallies. For Ball, sitting in the navigator's seat on an off-road event was a new experience. There were early problems for former biker Neil Woolridge and Paul Vermaak in the time freight Zangi. A huge dust cloud that could be seen from the air signaled that a race was in progress. The dust meant that progress was not always as rapid as crews would have liked. Cars milling around in circles searching for the correct route is also not unusual on off-road events. The lone Toyota Hilux parked forlornly at the start was that of Alfred van Vuren, who'd missed the start and decided to withdraw. The motorcycles were up next.
I haven't started in the front for quite a long time, so it will be nice for me. There's no dust, and there's no way I'm looking back. I'll be going flat out again for as long as it lasts, so it will be very exciting.
Willie, what happened?
For a sore Woolly Island, the excitement didn't last long. After being first away, the always flamboyant Willie made contact with a tree trunk on the side of the road. The offending tree left Island bruised and battered and nursing a damaged knee. The SKF Delmas diesel Suzuki was also in no fit state to continue. With the hapless Island out of the race, Darrell Curtis moved into the lead on the Winston Yamaha. Curtis is a talented young rider, but there was danger behind him in the form of Springbok Alfie Cox on the Pro Action Castrol KTM. The diminutive Italian was carving his way through the field after a disappointing performance in the prologue.
I'm actually in the best position that anybody can be, and the dust is going to be a problem, I know. But if I can get past the guys, I've got my time made up, and they've got to now pull out and leave me to make up the time that I'll catch up.
Some great camera work from the helicopter by cameraman Etienne Sneyman captured Curtis hard at work at high speed through the thorn trees. The 250 class off-road machines hit top speeds of around 180 kilometers an hour, and it takes both courage and skill to go blasting through the bush with disaster always only split seconds away. Back on four wheels, matters were hotting up with the Silwald cousins being chased by Kasi Coetzee and Richard Leek in the dealer team Toyota Hilux. With the refuel up ahead, Obert Carolyn was on their heels in the lubrication equipment Raceco. It was a high-speed train with the dust making life difficult for those doing the chasing. With only one road and thorn trees everywhere else, overtaking is no easy matter, and Carolyn was forced to play a waiting game. John Lambert and Eric Scholz were also well placed with the short wheelbase Digidor at home on the tighter sections. RB Reiniger and Lucas Dreyer were maintaining a steady pace in the top 10 in the Land Cruiser, but were being reeled in by Rob Walk in the Super Pave Raceco. Up at the refuel, activity was often frantic as pit crews rushed to get their chargers back into battle. Just as in Formula One racing, off-road refuel stops can mean picking up or dropping a place or two. Some of the repair methods are also a little rough and ready.
Leave them.
Woman drivers Sabila Quant and veteran Springbok navigator Pete Swanepoel were going well in a Paris-Dakar Mitsubishi Pajero. Minus the odd body panel or two, the Richard Schilling Jeff Bell Toyota Hilux was looking a bit worse for wear. Not far behind them were Cliff Barker and Mike Redden in the AAD Land Rover, who'd stormed through the field after problems in the prologue.
Very dusty, but tight, and then it's very fast. Tight and fast, and it's fun. Very fun.
Okay, go.
The AAD Land Rover hit trouble in the prologue when a pulley belt broke. Time loss saw Barker and Redden start almost from the back of the field in 51st place, and they had no option but to charge from the word go. At the refuel, they were on the fringes of the top 10, with the ruggedly built AAD Land Rover now going like a train. The inside of an off-road race car is Spartan, to say the least. The ride is also not up to saloon car standards, but the main requisite is that off-road vehicles go like hell and don't fall apart. In the motorcycle category, no one was really surprised to see Alfie Cox out in front on the Pro Action Castrol KTM. Cox is in a class of his own in Southern African off-road racing and caught and passed Darrell Curtis before the refuel point. Having lost 5th gear on the Winston Yamaha, Curtis was doing his best to stay with Cox. Thick sand on the route between the Shoshank refuel and the overnight stop was also causing problems for the competitors. Not that the problems were confined only to the motorcyclists. Space frame off-road cars don't have the smallest of turning circles, and getting underway again can be a problem. Franz Čepek Sr. and son Franz Jr. were the victims here. It took a while, but the 5FM Sun City 400 winners eventually got underway again, with the Porsche motor in the V-Motors Raceco working overtime. Falling off your motorcycle is an occupational hazard for off-road racers. 200 class leader Graham McLaughlin was the victim here on the Lesotho Office Equipment Kawasaki. There was at least one pair of willing hands to help McLaughlin, holding down a place in the top 5 to get underway again. Not far behind McLaughlin and going like a bomb was Alan Julian on the Pro Honda. With more power from the 250 machine, Julian didn't have the same problems with the sand as McLaughlin on the smaller and lighter Kawasaki. Still out in front in Class B was the father and daughter combination of Niels and Carla Eriksson in the Chenoweth. With a shorter wheelbase than many of the newer generation space frame cars, the Chenoweth handled the tighter sections of the route better than most. Cliff Barker and Mike Redden were still moving through the field in the AAD Land Rover. At times, progress was not as quick as the pair would have liked, and it was tough going near the end of a long day. For motorcyclists, overtaking cars is often a major problem. Barker and Redden moved over to make way for a motorcyclist who flashed past them at high speed. The passing motorcyclist was Chris Dodd. The Winston Yamaha rider started the day in 8th position and was going along steadily. All looked to be going smoothly, but with the overnight stop almost in sight, Dodd had the misfortune to drop out of the race. With campsites starting to spring up around the overnight stop in the Kama Rhino Reserve outside Serowe, the lubrication equipment Raceco, driven now by Books Carolyn, was first across the line. Carolyn was still going through finish line formalities when the Shell Superpave Raceco, driven by Rob Walk, came steaming down the last stretch to the finish. Although he was second across the line, corrected time was to put Walk into a lead of around 6 minutes over the Carolyn car. It was a tremendous performance by Walk, who left the start in 15th place after a relatively slow time in the prologue the day before. While a tired but obviously happy Walk headed off to do some maintenance work on the Raceco before taking a welcome shower, R.P. Reinicker and Lucas Dreyer were next up at the finish in the dealer Team Toyota Land Cruiser. Reinicker's no stranger to Botswana conditions after farming in the area for many years, and it was a typically workmanlike performance from the Springbok pair. As usual, there was a family welcoming committee for Reinicker and Dreyer, and while Reinicker's wife brought the crew up to date on who'd arrived at the finish line before them, the leading cars started to come in thick and fast. Next to appear were Nick Harper and Richard Hill in the Rockwell Porsche Raceco. The pair also had an uneventful day and were well placed in the top 10. Matters had not gone so smoothly for Kasi Kutsi and Richard Leek in the Toyota Hilux. Shortly after the refuel, a differential problem saw the Hilux reduced to 2-wheel drive, and that was a major disadvantage in the thick sand.
8 seconds left. Okay, good luck. Thank you very much. Okay.
Leek looked cheerful enough, but the crew had lost valuable time. The Toyota didn't sound too healthy, and service crews had some work ahead of them. Corrected time put Rob Walk in the Raceco ahead of the Carolyn car. Lambert and Scholz were followed by the Silwalts with the first 4 cars special vehicles. A tremendous performance saw Barker and Redden in 5th place and leading the commercial vehicle class ahead of Reinicker and Dreyer. When the first of the motorcycles arrived at the overnight stop, no one was surprised to see it was Alfie Cox on the Pro Action Castrol KTM in the lead. A still fresh-looking Cox had made up 4 places, but more important, had opened up a sizable gap on the 2nd place rider. Second across the line was Darrell Curtis on the Winston Yamaha, but on corrected time, he was around 7 minutes behind Cox.
Gone. I'm going to walk the bar. Xbox! Yes, walk the club. Darrell. Give him, yeah, take a chill out, you know. Okay, well done. Shut up. No, what's that ticket? When is the 4 gears from Austria?
The next rider in was Graham McLaughlin. A place in the top 5 overnight had many people wondering whether or not history would repeat itself with a 200 machine taking overall honours. A comfortable overnight lead for Alfie Cox with 3 minutes separating Darrell Curtis, Alan Julian and Graham McLaughlin. Cox led the 250 class, McLaughlin the 200 class and Carl LaRue the 500 class. For crews and service teams, a long day was not yet over. For some, maintenance was a relatively trouble-free job, but for others, the repairs were major. While all around them, big or small repair work was going on, a lucky few of the competitors could stand around and have a chat about the day's proceedings. For some, the day's work was over, and they could relax around a welcome campfire. Camaraderie is one of the major attractions off-road racing holds for competitors, and at overnight stops, everyone pitches in to help. The sport also attracts some flamboyant characters, but out in the bush, no one really cares. Cliff Barker and former off-road champion Paddy Driver, forced to withdraw from the desert race at the last minute, discussed some of the finer details of off-road racing. Others were starting to think of their stomachs. On breaking over Botswana, it was time for competitors to start thinking of another tough day ahead. The second racing section would see crews retrace their steps along the same 500-kilometre route from the overnight stop to the finish in Gaborone.